Frank Sinatra was born in Hoboken, New Jersey on December 12, 1915. He was the son of Italian immigrants Natalie Graventa and Antonio Martino Sinatra. Antonio Martino Sinatra was a lightweight boxer. His stage name was Marty O'Brien. He also worked as a captain for the Hoboken Fire Department. Frank Sinatra's mother was a big part of local Democratic Party circles, and she also ran illegal abortion businesses. She was arrested several times and was convicted twice. Sinatra never actually graduated from high school. In fact, he dropped out after only attending school for 47 days. He was expelled because of his rowdy conduct in 1938. Frank Sinatra was arrested as a young man for adultery and seduction. This meant that he was having an affair with a married woman. Sinatra worked as a delivery boy at the Jersey Observer newspaper. Then he worked as a riveter at the Tigeton and Lang shipyard. Even though he had a good job, he was always interested in music. As a young boy, he would sing for tips at a local nightclub in Hoboken. Sinatra never knew how to read sheet music, but after studying big band jazz, he could learn music by ear quickly. He would eventually start his singing career when he was a teenager. Sinatra got his first gig when his mom convinced the Three Flashes to let him join. They changed their name to the Hoboken Four. They appeared on Edward Bowes' show, Major Bowes' Amateur Hour, then won first prize, which was a 6-month contract to perform on stage and radio across America. He left the band in 1935, and his mother once again got him a new job, but this time he was a singing waiter at the Rustic Cabin in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey. He got paid $15 a week with this new job. He made a demo of his song, Our Love, with Frank Maine Band on March 18, 1939. In June, Harry James hired Sinatra on a 1-year contract that paid $75 a week. With the help of James' band, Sinatra released his first commercial record, From the Bottom of My Heart, in July 1939. Then he played with the Tommy Dorsey Band in a nightclub in Maine. About 8,000 copies of his first album were sold, and his musical career took off. In May 1941, Sinatra had climbed to reach the top of male singer polls in Billboard and Downbeat magazines. He made his appeal to Bobby Soxers, what the teenage girls of that time were called, which would reveal a new audience for popular music. From then on, music would not be only for adults. In 1942, Sinatra had a great performance at the Paramount Theater in New York. Jack Benny said, "I thought the goddamn building was going to cave in. I never heard such commotion." All this for a fellow I'd never heard of. Sinatra signed with Columbia on June 1st, 1943 as a solo artist. He had great success during 1942 through 1944 musician strike. No records were sold during that time, but he was a huge sensation on the radio and on stage. Then Sinatra lucked out and did not have to serve in World War II because he had a perforated eardrum. The FBI report showed that the doctors had also written Sinatra was a neurotic and not acceptable material for a psychiatric standpoint. Many men started to hate him because he was back home making money and have pictures taken of him with beautiful women while they were fighting for their country. He tried to entertain the troops by coming and singing to them, but that made more people mad by being demanding. Then in 1945, Sinatra started his acting career. He was in movies such as Anchors Aweigh and The House I Live In. He was praised for the racial equality in The House I Live In for promoting goodwill. After the release of this album, the voice of Frank Sinatra, he felt his career start to slip. This was confirmed when he was only number 4 on Downbeat's annual pool of most popular singers. After 2 years of absence, he returned to the stage on January 12, 1950. Everyone had noticed the change in his voice and appeal had. He was in movies such as Anchors Aweigh and The House I Live In. He was praised for the racial equality in The House I Live In for promoting goodwill. After the release of this album, the voice of Frank Sinatra, he felt his career started to slip. This was confirmed when he was only number 4 on Downbeat's annual pool of most popular singers. After 2 years of absence, he returned to the stage on January 12, 1950. Everyone had noticed the change in his voice, and the appeal had to teens had disappeared. In 1951, Sinatra was the star of the Frank Sinatra Show, but there was no success for him because he became too arrogant. His career came back with the drama From Here to Eternity. This led him to be an Oscar-winning actor, and it helped him regain the top recording artist in the world. He then made it back to the radio, but not as a singer. He was on the radio program Rocky Fortune. He finally made it back to the music industry with the help of Nelson Riddle, George Jenkins, and Billy May. His new albums were based on darker emotional matters. Frank Sinatra had completely reinvented himself, and he became top male vocalist again. His comeback would last until his self-retirement in 1970. In June of 1971, retired from show business, ending his 36-year-long career. He was 81 years old at the end of his career. In retirement, President Richard Nixon asked Sinatra to perform at a Young Voters rally for the upcoming campaign, and he chose to sing My Kind of Town for the rally on October 20th, 1972. In 1973, Sinatra came out of retirement, and his last performance was in 1990. In 1981, he was in the middle of controversy when he worked a 10-day engagement for $2 million in Sun City because he was breaking a cultural boycott against the apartheid era in South Africa. Sinatra had 3 children, Nancy, Frank Jr., and Tina, all with his first wife, Nancy Sinatra. He then married 3 more times to Ava Gardner, Maya Farrow, and Barbara Marx. Throughout his life, Sinatra suffered through depression. He died on May 14, 1998.